Today's show is sponsored in part by Fulton Commons. We have had a co-working space there for a while. It's over in Manchester in this historic little neighborhood, and it's really thoughtfully decorated, like actual art on the walls, bright pops of color, these historic maps and eclectic furniture, and just so much gorgeous natural light. It really is a great place to be able to buckle down and get some work done, but also just like the experience while you're there. And all of this, of course, is just on the main floor, because downstairs is something totally different. It's a shared commercial kitchen, so fully stocked with equipment and appliances, storage, big fridges, prep areas. If you are just starting out in the food space and you've maybe outgrown your house but don't have it in you yet to go get an expensive lease on your own, this could be the perfect place for you to hone your craft and get to know other entrepreneurs. Also, if you are co-working upstairs, it can mean delicious samples. Check out Fulton Commons for yourself, for your small business, and for your food production needs. Visit fultonpgh.com to request a tour. CityCast Pittsburgh is supported today by the Heinz History Center and their newest exhibition, Pittsburgh's Hidden History. It is a cornucopia of curiosity, a magical menagerie of memory, and a little bit of this and that. There are flowery couches, relics from Kennywood, even a collection of shivs. If you listen to this show a lot, you know we are loving this. It is truly mind-boggling to see how the curators brought together such a wide range of rarely seen artifacts to tell Pittsburgh stories like never before. To buy your tickets and learn more, visit HeinzHistoryCenter.org. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, national news people are once again talking about how Pittsburgh is one of the most affordable cities for home buyers. Thank you so much, Washington Post. But if you are already here dealing with the rising costs of everything, not just moving in from a more expensive city, the sticker price and repair costs of Pittsburgh's extremely old homes can be completely overwhelming. Today, I'm throwing it back to a little chat I had with a home ownership expert here about where to even start if you want to buy a home. So where to look, how to find loans, help for first-timers, and everything else you need to know. It's Thursday, November 13th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I am with Ann Schwan, a homeownership counselor at NeighborWorks Western Pennsylvania, and her whole job is walking people through the home buying process for the first time. And I feel like you are the perfect guest for today's show.
I'm so thankful to be here. Nice to be with you.
Do you think that Pittsburgh is a friendly place for first-time home buyers? I'm curious what it looks like for you.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think right now in the moment that we're in, I know a lot of the folks that I work with, they're finding it a little bit challenging with some of the prices that the homes are at and also just the competition.
Everything's so expensive.
Yeah. So that's really, that's the hugest barrier to most folks. What's working in our favor, I would say, in Pittsburgh is we do have a fair amount of assistance for the upfront costs. And I think most people are, kind of learning about that a little bit more. But so that's one positive. But I know it's pretty tough with house prices. It's a lot of kind of getting ready and then being patient is what we're seing right now.
Yeah. And I think just like building in all of those costs, like the things you need to be thinking about, like it can be really overwhelming for folks. We were talking about this on the team because a lot of us have bought recently, and it was just the process of neb-nosing and like browsing Zillow. Like that was so much fun. But then you get to like an offer stage and it's confusing. It is stressful. Personally, it reminded me why I would be a terrible gambler. I mean, what's that like for you? Like just kind of like holding folks' hand, like in a helpful way, not patronizing, but like helping them figure this process out from stem to stern.
Yeah, I would say so. So our role at NeighborWorks, we're doing a lot of kind of the back end stuff, like making sure folks are feeling good to work with mortgage lenders. So that's a big piece because that process is so overwhelming.
It's so much paperwork, and they want to know everything about your whole life ever.
Yes. Exactly. It can be incredibly daunting, right? So a lot of that is just like preparing folks for what that's going to look like. And then, working with folks on their budget and their credit. That's a big piece. In terms of the actual being out there shopping, all of that kind of nail biting stuff, we encourage folks to get a really good real estate agent, someone who's really going to hold their hand through that process and be a really helpful negotiator and all that kind of thing. So we're not usually on the ground with them at that point. But yeah, I mean, the feedback we get, again, it's a lot of folks are in a disappointment stage because they're making offers and they're getting outbid, but people are buying all the time too. So if you can have patience and hold on, we see people getting their dream homes, which is cool.
That's amazing. And I want to talk about all of these like tips, suggestions, like kind of how you walk people through it sounds like maybe it's a little bit about like how to think about this and how to plan for this before you get to that Zillow stage. So I want to get to that.
Yeah.
But before we do, I think maybe we should also back up and talk a little bit about NeighborWorks, because like the organization has such a unique history and also a Pittsburgh history, which I was not aware of. So tell me about Dorothy Mae Richardson.
Yeah. So we're really thankful to be continuing the legacy of Ms. Dorothy Mae Richardson. She's a Pittsburgh native. She was, she was living in the North Side. And in the 60s, she was looking around and seeing that her neighbors were unable to purchase houses. And, the homes in her neighborhoods, needed repairs. And it was really important for her to build a sense of community by building home ownership. So she really, became a community activist and brought together lenders, politicians, her neighbors themselves, home repair people, brought all these people to the table and really started an organization that helped people get mortgage ready and then helped them get into homes that were actually habitable. And again, her whole goal was let's build community, let's build stronger communities by making sure folks can become homeowners. So her model was actually so effective and popular that it caught the national attention of other, housing activists. And eventually it became a congressionally chartered organization. So you'll find NeighborWorks organizations throughout the entire country, which is really cool. But yeah, to know that it actually originated here with the work of this absolutely amazing woman, Ms. Richardson, right here in Pittsburgh's North Side. And it's important to note too that, she was really focused on racial equity in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's one of the most interesting things to me is that a lot of this is like also there's an accountability piece too. Like it wasn't just about finding ways to buy property, but it was also like if it was, a quote unquote dilapidated property,
Sure.
Landlords were held accountable for that so that they could be passed on to community members.
Absolutely. And, the work that she was doing was in the time of urban renewal, right? And we know Pittsburgh's history with, what was happening, especially in, the Hill District and then also in the North Side around that time. And it was obviously African-American communities that were getting displaced and hurt the most. So there is a real focus on increasing homeownership amongst African-Americans in Pittsburgh. That's a major part of the legacy of NeighborWorks.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some of those suggestions for first-time home buyers. If you are like me and you have now purchased, this is less helpful, but it's something you can pass on to your friends, your neighbors who are trying to navigate this for the first time. And what is the very first thing that you tell people to consider when they are getting ready to buy their first house?
Whew, well, there's quite a few things, but
Run me down the list.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we always talk about is make sure you're getting a good team together. And so we definitely consider a housing counselor. Yeah, you got to have good folks on your side, making sure you got people you can trust so they're going to help you get through this process.
I mean, I'm imagining team is like my bestie that I'm texting pictures to, and I'm like, oh my gosh, have you seen this pastel bathroom? It's amazing. Look what we could do with this.
Absolutely. You need the folks that are going to help you dream, and then you need the folks that are also going to help you navigate the process.
Okay, so start me down the process.
Yeah. So again, chatting with a home ownership counselor is a good start, but then, remembering that this process should be, so much of it should be about making informed choices. So I think for a lot of us who haven't gone through this before, or might be one of the first people in our family that has gone through this, you kind of just think well, I'll take whatever mortgage is offered to me or whatever real estate agent comes my way. And the more you can be empowered to really do your research first and make sure that you're getting a lender who's actually going to be explaining what's going on with your mortgage, going over all the nitty-gritties with you. And then also a real estate agent who can help you, again, navigate, making a good offer, negotiating what that offer is going to look like, helping you with things like understanding property taxes. So make sure you got a good team. And then the first thing we're always talking about is really just coming down to budget and money, right? So making sure that you got a good handle on what you think your purchase price, that your comfortable purchase price is going to be.
So that's like that big dollar figure that you see when you look at any listing. It's just that purchase price. See, I found that like so confusing. And I hope it's okay to say, like, when I was looking at my mortgage documentation at the end of the process, so not at the beginning like I should have, at the end, I saw what the number is after you've had like paid interest on it for however long.
You don't want to look at that.
I looked at that number and I'm like, oh my God, I did not know that that's what I just signed up for. I was looking at the first number. I did not count on the second number. Like, and I mean, it is what it is. I'm locked in, but it just, it was a shocking figure.
Right. It's hard. It's hard to swallow that. It's the cost of knowing, like, well, most of us don't have like 150 grand sitting in the bank, so we can't buy these things with cash. So it is the cost of doing business, and it's hard. It's hard to see what you're going to pay in interest, but you can pay off that loan faster. You can make you can make extra payments on the principal. One of our big tips is if you make, one extra mortgage payment over the course of the year and you apply it to the principal of your loan, it cuts off 7 years off the life of a 30-year loan term. So
okay, that's a lot.
Kind of a nice way. It's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, is that part of the early conversation is like, let's think about what the mortgage price is going to be, like what you're going to pay every single month?
Yes, that's exactly. So a lot of folks get really focused on what is the sticker price eventually, right? Like that's what, you're looking at and you're thinking that, but
it's 1,000% what I looked at and I was wrong.
Right. Well, there's so many things that actually go into your monthly mortgage payment, right? Beyond just like what you're paying for the house. There's property taxes, there's home insurances, all that other stuff. So we try to really bring it back in focus for what's affordable for your monthly mortgage payment. Like you gotta, and what makes it difficult is obviously when you're looking at Zillow, they can give you estimates for what that number might look like, and then it might end up being wildly different, right? Once you actually talk to the mortgage lender, you figure out what the property taxes are going to be.
And the school taxes, I think that's huge too in our region.
Yes, I think, again, there's just in terms of like geography, like property taxes, transfer taxes, there's stuff that make a huge difference in what you're paying based on, if you're looking at a house on this side of town or that. So we try to, as much as possible, get folks to be thinking really, first of all, even before they're talking to a lender, what really feels like the number that's going to be like max comfortable mortgage payment for your budget. So folks at least go into it with a little bit of an idea of what their ceiling is, and then they can hopefully drive the conversation with the lender instead of the lender just saying, oh, well, you could afford, I'm using scare quotes, but like, X amount of dollars a month, you go into the conversation and you say, this is how much I want to spend on my mortgage each month. How do we get the purchase price to then match what I can actually afford?
Yeah. I mean, is there a formula for that you recommend, like to find that comfortable ceiling?
I mean, there's a few things you can look at. I mean, some people like it's like 50, 30, 20 rule, which is kind of like 50% of your income goes towards your needs. So like housing expenses, debts, utilities, stuff like that. 30% is wants, and then 20% is savings. So that's, you could use that soft formula if that works for you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's like a quick rule of thumb. This is the kind of thing where I'd say know your budget. Like go through your budget and know what all your expenses are, and then the biggest piece of advice that we say probably 1,000,000 times a day is make sure that your budget has space for savings once you're in the house and you're a homeowner, because you got to be prepared for not having a landlord anymore and you're the one that you call when something breaks.
That's true. And I don't think a lot of us think about that. Like, especially, you should, especially if you're looking at a fixer-upper or something like that. Like, you have to factor in the cost of fixing or maintaining all of the things that are in that house. And if it's old, which so many homes in Pittsburgh are.
So many Pittsburgh homes are so old, so dilapidated. Yeah.
Yeah. And like dealing with all of that, like, I mean, anything from like the woodwork to the plumbing to if you have, children or pets, like if there's lead nearby, and that's a thing you're going to have to deal with at some point. Like it is a little daunting.
Yeah, and again, that's probably like the biggest thing that we probably sound like a broken record when we talk to folks, but we're just like, you might feel like that mortgage payment can fit your budget, but then again, can you live your life? You don't want to be like house poor, the idea of like
I've heard
all
that
your
term
money
my whole life, and I feel like it's a
yeah.
good thing that people like kind of beat it into my brain before I made it to this point.
Because you want to still do stuff, right? You want to be able to go out to eat every once in a while, whatever it is that's important to you in your life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the savings is a big one that we really talk about. So, yeah.
What kind of cushion do you imagine for that maintenance cost? Or does it depend on the type of house that people are interested in?
There are so many factors, yeah. And I would say, obviously in Pittsburgh, yeah, I mean, our housing stock is old. And, for a lot of us, we can't afford homes that are in perfect shape. Like most people are looking at places that are going to need at least some work to be done on them.
I mean, if you're buying something that is so perfect and so like peak luxury, I don't know if this is for you. This show is for you.
Tell us how you did that. We'd love to
hear. Let me know your financial tips.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. I could use the advice. Yeah, I mean, again, to me, it feels very like generic. It is not one size fits all. But I mean, the general kind of rule that NeighborWorks offers is like maybe 1% of your purchase price per year for home repairs and maintenance. Again, saying that with like the utmost like grain of salt. But if you're looking for somewhere to start, like at least give yourself there. The other thing we mention a lot is trying to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an emergency fund. So it's another thing
from the time you move in?
Working on it, right? Not a lot of us can have that right off the bat. But I mean, if you're looking for a savings goal or you're just trying to figure out what you might want to be working towards, that could be another parameter that, I don't know, might help you as you're trying to figure out what might be good to have set aside. The other thing is like if you have the time and the energy to like do some research and see what these kind of things cost, like what would it cost if you had to replace your roof? What's it going to cost? Like price out a new furnace if a new furnace is something that's going to be in your future. Those are scary things and most new homeowners don't want to be thinking about that, but it's
Honestly.
worth it to just like give yourself a little bit of an idea of what they might look like.
Ballpark figure all of your biggest house fears. Yeah.
Right. I know. It's a horrible thought.
CityCast Pittsburgh is supported today by the Pittsburgh Opera and their first ever performances of Fellow Travelers. The opera takes place during the 1950s, the McCarthy era, and a young college graduate shows up to DC, eager to join the State Department. But this is also during the Lavender Scare, and our main character falls in love with another man. Fellow Travelers is based on the book by Thomas Mallon, and the opera is quickly becoming a contemporary classic. You can catch Fellow Travelers at the Byham Theater for one weekend only. There are only 3 performances from November 14th through the 16th. The tickets start at just $20, and there are a whole bunch of discounts. So for kids, for students, for seniors, for military, and even just for big groups, this is such an important story, especially at this moment. So grab your friends and head downtown for Fellow Travelers. Learn more at pittsburghopera.org/citycast. Today's show is brought to you by City Theater. Confession, I have never read Little Women. I know it's a classic. I have heard all about the March sisters, Jo and Beth and Meg and Amy. The one literally has my name. And of course, their creator, author Louisa May Alcott. I really meant to do it. It just never happened. But now, maybe my actual introduction to the story will get to be a little more local, more Pittsburgh, because City Theater has co-commissioned and produced its own version that they say blends the heartwarming coming-of-age story you love, the empowerment, the family bonds, the resilience, but also the very creation of the literary masterpiece itself, with Alcott at the center of it. It's a new adaptation of a beloved classic and a world premiere, all from playwright Lauren Gunderson, who brought us The Revolutionists and the Christmas at Pemberley series that y'all have been raving about to me for a few years now. City Theater says it's perfect for the holidays, a total celebration of sisterhood and aspiration. So grab your loved ones and look for performances November 15th through December 7th. Learn more at citytheatercompany.org.
You know, when most of us want to learn a new language, it's not because we're dying to memorize grammar tables or ace a quiz. It's because we actually want to speak it out in the real world with real people. And that's what Babbel is great at, getting you there fast. Hey, it's Michael Zibiak, Chief Revenue Officer here at CityCast. My daughter's a senior in high school, and after graduation, we're taking a father-daughter trip to Spain. And right now, my Spanish is, let's just say, very high school level. Shout out to Senior Patty from Syosset High School. You tried. When we're in Spain, I'd love to do more than just ask where the bathroom is. I want to be able to chat with locals, order tapas, and actually connect, not just read the menu and point. So I'm starting with Babbel. It's all about small steps, big wins, and it's super easy to fit into my life. Honestly, with how busy things get here at CityCast, I love that Babbel's bite-sized, 10-minute lessons fit right into my day, between meetings or over my morning coffee. I'm excited to pick up some real-world Spanish before we go, so we can experience Spain like locals, not tourists. Doesn't that sound better? Right now, Babbel's got a special deal for our listeners. Get up to 55% off your subscription at babbel.com/citycast. That's BABBEL.com/citycast for up to 55% off. Rules and restrictions may apply. Gracias and adios.
What about if you are maybe nervous about your credit history? Because, I feel like everyone, I'm going to go out on a limb here, Anne, and say our age probably has some student loan debt, some other stuff. It's a really challenging moment. So, what do you do if that's a factor in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, most times that's kind of the biggest hurdle for most folks getting the mortgage is just dealing with whatever's going on with their credit. A lot of times lenders are going to have minimums that they're looking for their credit scores. And then just various things that they're going to be looking for what's going on with your credit report. Things like student loans, they're definitely in kind of obviously a weird space right now. Most of the time, if you don't have a scheduled mortgage payment, or a scheduled student loan payment, your lender's going to want to see that on your credit report. So that might be something folks out there could be thinking about. If they have a student loan, but it's in deferment, you might want to do the steps now of finding out what your payment's going to be when that loan kicks back in, because your lender's going to want that information.
They want to know literally everything you've ever purchased and how and what you thought about it at the time, and maybe even the dollars and cents figure. It's wild how much they ask for.
Yeah, they get deep into your life.
It was 15 years worth of places I've lived, and I'm I was a child now. What do you want from me?
Right. The credit stuff, though, I would say for anyone out there who's thinking that homeownership might be in their future, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year from now, now is the time when you start addressing credit stuff. The more kind of leeway you can give yourself to be working on that, the better. At NeighborWorks, if you come visit us, we do soft pulls on credit. You can actually see your report. You can figure out what's on there. You can figure out if there's stuff on there that's in error that you need to get taken care of. And then our counselors work with you to come up with a game plan to see your score increase. So again, the sooner, the earlier you can start the credit work, the better. But I would say, for anyone listening who's concerned about credit, there are solutions to credit. Don't let that be the scary thing that's going to make you not look into getting a home or getting a mortgage. We can help you with that. You'll find ways to get over the credit hurdle to be able to get a house for sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned also having a good real estate agent on your team. How do you know if you have a good one? How do you find them? What's your tip for that?
Oh, it's such a tough one too. I mean, one of the first
everybody
things we
seems very nice,
Right. Yeah. I would say, some of the things you're looking for are, first of all, just, this is going to sound so wishy-washy, but use your gut. If you're having a conversation with a real estate agent, and yes, you're right, they all seem really nice, but nice is one thing, but are they actually following up on communications with you? And more importantly, when you're telling them things, are they actually listening and responding with what you're saying? I would say if you have a real estate agent who's not going to meet with you first, that's kind of, I would say, a little bit of a red flag. Or, you want someone who's going to take a little bit of time to get to know you and really understand what your absolute must-haves are in a home so that they can be helping you filter out the stuff that's not going to be good for you. But yeah, someone who's really going to sit down, actually, listen to what you're saying. Otherwise, I would say just, be asking questions about things like, what kind of differences you're going to see in property taxes, depending on what areas that they're showing you. A good real estate agent should be able to kind of talk to you about what to expect in terms of property tax assessments, what that might look like in your future if you buy a house in a certain neighborhood, that kind of thing. Otherwise, trying to get good recommendations from friends and family if you know anyone else who's gone through the process. And then again, at NeighborWorks, we have a network of real estate agents that come and they present at the classes that we do on Saturdays, which are they're such a great resource. The whole Saturday classes that we do, you get industry professionals that come in, and so that's a great way to connect with real estate agents because those folks are just there to share what they know, and they're a great place to kind of get a little bit more information. So.
Yeah. And I feel like one of the big ones we haven't talked about yet is also just that other money, the down payment money, the hand money, things like that. And I know that there are things that can help with that, at all levels of government, depending on where you live. But how do you start finding out what's available to you? Or what you're eligible for, I guess. I went looking for a consolidated list of things, and it's almost impossible to find.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah, there's not one clearinghouse of all the grant programs that are out there, unfortunately.
I don't want to be too I don't want to be too cynical, but I feel like maybe that's on purpose. They don't want me tapping into all of that stuff.
I don't know. That's a good question.
The people administering these programs absolutely want me to tap in.
They do.
But I worry sometimes maybe my government doesn't want me to. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a tinfoil hat moment. I don't know.
But you're not paranoid if you're right. Anyway, this stuff. What can help first-timers?
Yes. So from my perspective, I actually think yes, there is a lot of money out there. I think the money wants to get access because the reality is most of us just don't have the savings. We don't have the savings for the upfront cost of homeownership. We just can't. It's really hard.
It's so much cash. It's so much. Yeah. It's the biggest check I've ever written in my life by far.
Yeah. So a couple things to keep in mind for anyone out there who still thinks that you have to do 20% down payment. That is totally not true anymore. I hope folks don't think that any longer. That's not the case. Most mortgage lenders are looking for a much smaller down payment, usually 3 to 5% of the purchase price. And then you will have closing costs on top of that. And that's just the cost of getting the loan. That's the third party costs. That can be expensive, usually maybe 7% of the loan. So we're looking at, maybe potentially 10% of your purchase price in upfront costs. But again, there's programs that come from both city government, county government, individual neighborhoods. Yeah, a lot of it's federal money or state money. And then also individual lenders out there also have grant money to help you cover those costs as well. To make it's great on the one hand, but it also makes it more complicated because you kind of have to just dig around and see what different lenders offer.
Yeah. And that's all geography based. Is there, are there income requirements for some of this stuff too?
Yeah. So most of the time, what you're really looking at in terms of accessing these funds, income requirements, they're usually looking at about 80% of the area median income. And for anyone out there who's looking, the URA, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, if you look for them and you just search for down payment, they have stuff on their website and they also have a nice income table. So you can quick look and see hey, am I at 80% of the area median income? So that's a good way to kind of see where you're at. So income will be one. And then geography. All these are kind of tied to different geographical locations. And then the other thing is really just being a first-time home buyer, which they usually define as not owning a home within 3 years, I think. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When you're looking for this stuff, is it as simple as Googling the name of the area and down payment assistance?
I wish I could say it was that easy. So, our general strategy is the one thing I've noticed is that on Zillow, if you scroll to the bottom, on the listings, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but they have a new section where it's potential available grant money.
I am banned from being on Zillow right now so that I don't get house hungry
buyer's
again.
remorse. Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I don't want to know what else is out there because now
Fair.
I'm into something.
Fair.
Yeah,
that's real. But for anyone else out there,
a new
look
feature.
At Zillow. It's maybe about a year or so, but so that could be a jumping off point. You'll see some of the available grant money. Otherwise, Google, Western PA, down payment assistance, down payment grants. That's a starting point. Come see us at NeighborWorks. I know I keep plugging that, but really that's what the counselor is here for, is to talk you through your particular areas. But I will tell you, it's City of Pittsburgh has grant money. Allegheny County has grant money. Penn Hills, Wilkinsburg, all these different areas have their own little pots of money. And so if you're able to kind of have flexibility in where you're looking, you can usually find some. And then there are programs out there that also aren't tied to geography. The Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency has a grant for anywhere in, I think, all of Pennsylvania. Oh. And then there's a program called First Front Door, and that's also available I think all of Pennsylvania as well. So there's a couple out there that aren't tied to, specific neighborhoods.
I think this conversation has taught me that I wish I knew you, Anne, when I was going through this process. But
we wish that too.
For those who are on the front end of this process, how can they tap into your services? Because if I were in the first time home buying process, I would be knocking on your door immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I do think our counseling sessions are really helpful. So you go to our website, which is neighborworkswpa.org. Just create your account. We do require you to upload a few documents for us. Gets you in the process of what the mortgage lenders are going to be looking for. And then our appointments right now are over Zoom. So you don't have to travel anywhere. We'll have an easy video meeting. And it's more like this general stuff can be a great jumping off point, but it really depends on like your individual situation, like what's going on with your income, what's going on with your savings, what's going on with, your credit, to kind of talk you through, making a plan that's tailored to your needs. So we'd be happy to meet with anyone.
And then those Saturday classes, can anyone pop into those?
Yes, they can. I will say, so the Saturday classes, you can check our website for when we're doing them. They're usually at least once a month, sometimes twice, and they're throughout Pittsburgh, throughout even Allegheny County. They're usually about an 8-hour day, so it's a bit of a commitment, but they're really fun because you get so much good information. Like I said, you connect with industry professionals, and I really feel like that's it's just great to be able to get to ask your questions of someone who's not trying to sell you something, who's someone who's literally just there to like provide education. We provide lunch. It's, we try to make it a fun day. So yeah, anyone can come to those. And I also wanted to plug another education event that we're just starting to do. They're called home resource fairs. And so we're really trying to focus not only on helping folks get into homes for the first time, but we really want to focus on making sure folks can maintain home ownership. That's a huge part of our mission as well, is it's one thing to get into the house, but then how do you maintain sustainable home ownership for as long as you want to be there? And that's specifically important for, passing on generational wealth, which really ties back again to the mission of NeighborWorks to increase home ownership in the African American community in the Pittsburgh area, and to see that that transfer of generational wealth. That home ownership is such a huge tool for that in America. So we really want to make sure people are feeling like they're able to maintain their homes. So we've put together these kind of resource fairs for new homeowners, and they're basically like we bring together like folks talking about home equity and home insurance and home repairs and how to lower your your energy bills. And they're really just a fun kind of resource fair style day.
Yeah.
We'd love to connect with you.
Well, Anne, thank you so much. Y'all, if you are listening to this and trying to buy a house, or you know someone who is, call Anne up.
Yeah, we'd love to meet you. Thank you so much. This was great getting to chat with you about this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anne. That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you're listening to the show, you've been with us for a while, you like what you hear, consider writing us a nice review. It really does help people find us when they go searching for stuff in Pittsburgh, and it's a nice way to show the CityCast team that you care. And if you are brand new to the show, thank you so much. We are so glad you're here. We will be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah. Hard to miss, Randyland.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text him yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with like funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.